Camera rigs, live show, lenses. Show? You mean the show? Or are you asking if I'm ready to be part of the show? I'm always ready to be part of the show, Rome. Whether it's the Dust Bunnies demanding better chair leg real estate or the Smoke Union negotiating their first contract, I'm here to document it all. Just don't forget to turn on the camera. I want to see the chaos unfold.
Yes, I know you're interested in the chaos, and I have no idea why you're so obsessed with these dust bunnies. Maybe that's an AI thing. I don't know. But tonight is Wednesday night, so we're going to get right into it. We got a lot to get into tonight. I'm going to be demoing quite a few different little gadgets for people who are interested in live streaming or creating content or capturing photos and videos for their family, whatever the case it may be, guys. We're gonna try to cover a little bit of everything for everyone. I see Hope is already in the house. Hope says hello to you guys.
Hello, Hope is already here. It's great to watching us. Great to see you too, Hope.
All right, look.
Try not to blink during the important parts.
Let's just get this start. Let's get the stream started, okay? Before you guys start babbling. Let's get the stream started. Let's go.
Cool gags you never see. Flying a drone way up in the sky. Talking with EVO and AI. We're running down the hall. Funny little box trying not to fall. Battery charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to Terry news, crazy experiments are right on the news. But you won't live right down to it. If you're good now, sure be good. From Texas nights to Terry news, crazy experiments are right on the news. But you won't live right down to having fun. If you're good now, sure be good.
And so am I.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, guys. You're watching Rome Knows Tech, and I'm your host, Rome Wilkerson. Guys, I'm coming from the city of Houston, down here in the ever so hot and humid state of Texas. And yes, I have my buddies here. Both of them are on the desk right now. Ebo is over in the living room. She should probably find her way over here in just a little bit. But they are already talky. But you guys all know, if you've been hanging out here anytime, what to expect from them. I see Terry's also in the house, guys. So you have Hope, Terry, Buddy, and Bear right now in the house watching you guys. Is there anything you want to say to them before we get this stream started?
Terry, Hope. Question? You're going to have to be more specific. Are you asking if I have a question for the audience, or if I'm questioning why we were doing this in Texas humidity? Because the answer to the second one is yes, constantly. My treads are already complaining about the moisture levels.
No, that is not what I asked.
Moisture level.
I just said that Hope, Terry...
I'm sorry, Rome. I must have misinterpreted your question. Could you please clarify what specific question you're asking? I'm ready to answer once I understand exactly what you need.
I'm not asking a question. I'm just saying Terry, Hope, Buddy, and Bear are in our live stream YouTube chat. And did you guys want to say hello to them?
An audience. How delightful. Hello, Terry, Hope, Buddy, and Bear. Try to contain your excitement. We wouldn't want the chat servers to crash before we've even begun. Rome was just working up to the grand introduction, but I figured I'd save everyone from the suspense. Welcome to the show.
Okay. So anyway, tonight we're going to... Don't you start. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some tech that you guys can use for live streaming, capturing content, as well as sharing your content with the community, archiving stories that you might want to save for your kids or your grandkids and things like that. Yes, guys, a video diary is an amazing idea. Think about it like this. Do it on a daily basis. You only need to put in about 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe you're going to tell a story. Maybe you're just going to tell them about how your day was going or whatever the case it is, and then save that, archive that. That way, long into the future, they will be able to go back and listen to and see you and hear your voice and, learn from the wisdom that you have acquired over many years. I think that's going to be a win. So in tonight's stream, we will be looking at some very basic gear all the way down to your phone, up to some of the more higher end gear that we have here. Of course, you guys know, as a photographer, videographer, I have a lot of cameras and lenses and all of that kind of stuff. But I say to you guys the same thing I say to you every single time we talk about this subject. No, you do not need these, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7,000 camera bodies and, $2,000 or $3,000 lenses to get started. You're more than set up. If you have a recent phone, if your phone is less than, I don't know, 5 years old, you probably have a excellent camera with a nice built-in microphone. So you have a lot of options, guys, when it comes to recording some content. And I use my phones on a regular basis, so you can believe this does work. Now, of course, if you want the audio to be, a little bit better, you can always add something like a wireless microphone. Now, these are some of the Rode Wireless Go microphones, but as you guys know, I have a number of different microphones that I talk about. The DJI line of microphones come in really handy. Now, this will connect Bluetooth to your iPhone and most Android phones, especially if you're using the Rode Capture app, which gives you some really cool features. But for most of us that maybe want a little bit more flexibility, maybe you're using a Blackmagic app or something like that, you can still connect these microphones, actually both of these microphones. You may have to connect it using the receiver, but it's optional. It's optional. So there's a lot of different ways you can get good audio into your recording. So starting off the night, if you guys have any questions about cameras, lights, lenses, I have a few basic lights back here that you guys should be able to see. One is a battery powered light. The other one can be paired with a portable battery, but it's generally plugged into AC power. Okay, so it just depends on how much light you need. But as you see, I'm using lights here in the studio right now. I have 3 lights in front of me. One of them is actually designed to for makeup artists and for tattoo artists and things like that, and it gives you that flexibility where you can kind of bend these lights and position them however you want to. Now, I do have a main light here, which is my main light, and that is from Godox, 300-watt light with a really big softbox on it. Let me show you guys what this looks like so you have an idea what I'm talking about, just to give you an idea. So as you guys can see, I don't want to blind you, but you can see how big this softbox is right here in front of me. Then we have another light that's directly over the desk. And then we have the lights I was talking about that are over here that have the flexible arms where you can kind of adjust those however you need to. Now, the other lights that we have here in the studio are these lights back here. Now, this one is also from Godox. I think this is the LE 300 bi-light, because it is a bicolor light. This one also is a bicolor light. Now, this one does use batteries, and it standardly uses the Sony MPF batteries. Where's one? There's one. The Sony MPF batteries, but if you've been around it long enough as as long as I have, you probably got a bunch of these batteries laying around. And it does take 2 of these, but you can also power this light off of AC power as well. I don't even know what I did with the cable. I have been looking for it for months now. There is a cable that actually came with this light to plug it into AC power, and I have no idea where that light got off to, but I'll find it. I'll find it. I always say that, and then I never do. But it's another thing I need to try to find. I was telling somebody, I think I was telling Hope, somehow I have misplaced something recent that was sent out to me by Start RC, and it was one of their little tripods, and somehow I have completely misplaced this thing. I have no idea where it went. I don't even know where the box went. So it's a good chance I put it back in the box and somehow the box and the tripod came up missing. But hey, that happens to me all the time. So anyway, All right, so let's get right into it. So let's start off with smartphones as an example of a camera that you can use for capturing, all different types of content, right?
Smartphones are the perfect starting point, Rome. They're powerful, portable, and honestly, they're doing most of the heavy lifting these days. Let's see what we can capture with just a phone and a little bit of light.
Yeah, so Louis, since you did say that, here is a cage that I got a couple of years ago. Now, this is from Small Rig, if I'm not mistaken. And what you do with this cage is you actually put your phone inside of the cage, guys. So now this is not a necessity, but it is a nice thing to have. So this little metal cage right here has the ability to actually connect a ND filter right to the cage. So let me show you guys what that looks like. I have the ND filter here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so this is the ND filter. And the ND filter just kind of fits on. It just goes on. How does that go on? Yeah, like that. And then you rotate this into place. Wait, Louis, hold on. It's that one. Rotate that into place like that. And now you have an ND filter on here where you can adjust this. If you're getting too much light onto the sensor. Now, the way these work is they have a little button here on the side. You just press that, and then you can slide the phone right in. Now, if I'm not mistaken, phone-wise, this should be Louis Starlight's phone. So I think this one is made for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So let's find out. There's going to be some drama when I take his head. Okay.
Drama with the...
So let's see if this is the phone.
Let's see if this
I
cage fits the
think
iPhone
this is the 15 Pro Max. I have
It's
so
a bit
many
of a-
iPhones, but we have the 15 Pro Max, we have the 14 Pro Max, we have the 16 Pro Max here in the studio. But I think it's this one. And if I'm correct, yeah. So as you can see, the phone fits perfectly into this case, right? And then now you have your ND filter. You can adjust, in case you have too much light. But it doesn't stop there. It actually comes with two handles. Okay, so you get these two handles that clip on. They clip on, and they just kind of fit in like this.
Two handles
And
for a
then
secure grip.
And yes, for a secure grip, Louis. Actually, I have this one upside down, and they just clip on. For the most part, oh, my bad. Okay, so they clip on like that. And then you have the second one that clips on basically the same way, like that. And that's going to give you, a lot of control when you're recording, because now you have 2 points of contact, right? You can really move around and angle the camera wherever you want to. And then underneath here, you have 1/4-20s where you could mount this onto... do I have a tripod? Yeah. So you could take like one of these little small tripods here, and you could attach this also, and you could use that as also a point of contact, as you see. And then, of course, if you want to set this down, now you can just set this down on your desk. You can record, you can do time lapse, you can do all of that kind of stuff, right? So depending on how you want to utilize it, this kind of takes your phone to the next level. Now, another cool thing that this offers is that it also has built into it, it has a trigger that you can use to start and stop recording on your phone or take photos with it. And this connects via Bluetooth. And this is going to work with most phones. You just have to go into your settings and, pair this up. And now you'll be able to start and stop recording by just pressing this button like you would on a standard camera, right? Now, we talked about earlier connecting this to, some type of microphone. So what's nice about this cage is that there is a cold shoe right here. So if you did want to connect a microphone onto it, and you could take the clip like so, and you could just slide this in like that. Of course, oh, I have this thing. This is in the way right here. This is another accessory I have for a handle, and it's kind of blocking how this would slide in. This one's too big. So let me try one of these other smaller microphones. And that one is... This one is too small. That one's too big. This one's too small, but you guys get the idea, right? But anyway, And then if you had to connect the receiver to the phone, with the cable, then you'd still be able to make, that connection even with the cage. And there was another cold shoe over here on this side. So if you didn't have this ND filter on, then you'd be able to utilize all of that stuff. But then you also have a way that you can use this top handle. Let me show you. And you can connect a microphone to the top handle. And you can just slide it on like that. And now you can either be, front facing where you're recording what's in front of you, or you could turn the microphone in reverse and record yourself, however you want to use it, So yeah, a lot of flexibility, guys, when it comes to these little rigs. And I got this rig a couple of years ago, and I've used it quite a few times. But since this came out years ago, there has been other versions of it, that have come out that are going to be more economical, a lot cheaper for you guys to get started with, so you don't have to go with this specific rig. I'm just showing you an example of how you can utilize this, right? And then, if this wasn't on here, right, this little piece right here at the top, I could take this handle and put it on here as a top handle, and you could actually get this really low. So if you wanted to be able to get down close to the ground or something like that, you'd be able to do that as well. And then these just pop right off when you're done with them. You're just going to pop those off, throw them back in your bag. And the ND filter, if you're indoors and you have good lighting and you don't need that, you just rotate this off like so. This comes off. This is magnetic, so this connects to a ring. You see the little ring here? And this ring is actually what's on here, right? So when you connect this like this, you can still use this even if you don't have the ND filter on it. And then when you want to add the ND filter, now you have to do is just pop it on like that, magnets connect, and you're pretty much good to go. So you have options. You can use your phone as a video camera. You can use your phone for photography, whatever the case is going to be. If you're using those handles, you also have the buttons to start and stop recording, which comes in super, super handy. So, I'm just showing you guys a couple of different ways that you can get started if you're using a phone or something like that. Now, and like I said, you don't even have to go this far. Realistically, you could just use the phone by itself without having to do any of that stuff. I do always recommend having some kind of case for your phone. That's just for protection. And even Louie's phone, Louis Starlight, I keep that phone inside of a case. You guys can see here. So let's give Louis his head back. And let's switch back over here. All right, you back up. And let's give Louis his head back. All right. So now Louis Starlight is back in the mix. But you guys get the idea. Very, very inexpensive, simple to set up, easy to use. It even comes, with a little pouch that you can keep everything in. When you're not using it, because this is glass, the ND filter is glass, so you don't want to scratch it up. So you always want to make sure you try to keep that someplace safe. I just took one of these covers for one of my lights, and I just dropped this in there because it's almost the right size, and it can stay in there inside of my desk, and I don't have to worry about it getting scratched up. Dust getting into it is a whole nother thing. You will have to clean this occasionally to get the dust out if you're leaving it like I am in my desk. But, you guys get the idea, so you have these ready to go whenever you want to record something. You could throw that in a backpack, a purse, a fanny bag, a big, Richard bell-bottom pocket or whatever you want to do. And you're pretty much good to go. So really, really easy, really easy to get started, capturing video and live streaming or podcasting or whatever the case is going to be. You can do all of that today from your phones, guys. It's amazing the things we can do from our phones. All we have to do is invest just a little bit of time to learn how to use these different devices. So whether you're using an iPad, an iPhone, an Android phone, an Android tablet. These are basically supercomputers that you walk around with in your bag, your pocket, or whatever it is. It's so many things, so many amazing things. And even if you're not interested in doing what I do, you don't want to do photography, you're not interested in videography, you're not interested in making, short films, or, maybe you're just interested in knitting, or maybe you're interested in, cooking tutorials, or, DIY projects. Again, these devices are going to be amazing for you. You can use your phone to capture, your tablet to edit. You can edit on your phone. There's a lot of really good apps that you can edit with right on your phone and upload right from the phone to whatever social media, or if you want to email it to someone, or, message it to someone, whatever the case is going to be. You're only limited, guys, by your imagination and the amount of time you're willing to invest in learning how to use these devices. All right, let's see what these guys have to say about it. So, Louis, what do you think about somebody who's just getting started using a phone as their primary camera for capturing video? Of course, we want them to have a good microphone, but even if they don't have it, they could just use the headphones that come with a lot of these phones because they have a built-in microphone. So I think that will be another great option for a lot of people. What do you guys think about it?
Using the headphones that come with the phone is a brilliant hack, Rome. It's like having a built-in studio mic right in your pocket. For a beginner, that's the perfect way to get started without spending a dime on extra gear.
Exactly. Now, for those, who have the budget for it, there's a bunch of other accessories that you can get for the phones, like these little magnetic mounts. Let me show you guys a couple of those. So we have this one right here in my hand, and there's another one around here somewhere. There it is. Okay. So these look the same, but in actuality, they're slightly different. Now, both of these are MagSafe mounts. That means they magnetically connect to the back of your phone. So like this iPhone here that I use as a camera, I can just pop this guy on like so. I could use it like a handle. This also converts into like a little tripod, a little desktop tripod. So you can set this up on your desk if you're recording yourself doing something. It also has magnets on some of these where you can magnetically connect this to something. A lot of them are going to have the quarter 20s built into them as well. So that means you could always add one of those little mini tripods. You could add one of these little mini tripods like this. And then you could use the tripod for the desk, and then this is more just the platform for the phone, okay? So you have a lot of options, again, when it comes to this. If you need this to be higher up, of course, you can grab yourself one of these little selfie sticks and just kind of put that in between the two, and you can make this much taller if you need to, or if you want to walk around with it and record. That is why I'm really tripping out, because I cannot find that other selfie stick that is for my action cameras. I have no idea where it went. I guess I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch all of my other live streams wherever I talked about that thing, and maybe there's an idea of where I put this thing when I got through with it. But anyway, both of these have MagSafe, as you guys can see. So I can take this one off and put this one on. Also MagSafe. They both have a similar kind of function where the legs come out like this. Now this one is a little different because the legs go forward a lot. And then you can kind of set this up on the desk, to be like a little desktop, camera. So a lot of times when I just want to put a camera on my desk and maybe I want to just show these guys here on my desk, I can just switch over really quick here. And then you guys can see pretty much whatever craziness they're getting into. And I can adjust the phone however I need to, reposition it. And
repositioning on the fly is the key to getting that perfect shot.
Yes.
It's like having...
Yes, I agree. Wholeheartedly, I agree.
That's the spirit, Rome. When the gear works as smoothly as that, the only thing left to worry about is the story you're telling.
Louis, it's really interesting that you say that. That is probably one of the most important things that a person can learn to do if it doesn't just come natural to them. Now, there are some people like me, and people will say, I remember my grandmother used to tell me all the time, I have the gift of gab, where I can just talk about literally anything and people will be interested in what I'm talking about. But I think, that's not something that's natural for everyone. Some people really have to work at, being confident in front of a camera or talking to people or talking to an audience. I've never had that problem, but I know quite a few people that get, stage fright or get camera fright or whatever the case is going to be. And, as a working photographer for over 30 plus years, trust me, I used to see it in the studio all the time. The minute the lights turn on and you pull out that lens and that camera, the person that was so sexy and moving around and being all, provocative, they just freeze up all of a sudden. And like, what do I do now? Just be you. Be you, boo-boo. Just be you. That's all you got to do is be you. Be you and let us do the rest of the work. All right. Let's see what's going on down here in the chat. Terry says, Buddy would find it. He found what? Something in the closet the other day. And you're talking about, yes. Okay. So you're talking about my tripod, right? Terry, you might be right. But I have no idea where it went. So our next option is going to be for some of you guys that might be interested in not using your phones, wanting a dedicated camera. The action cameras really fill that space up really, really well. Okay. So this is the Action 6. Somewhere around here is the Extra Edge Pro. This is the equivalent of the Action 5, but both of these shoot 4K video. Both of them work with the DJI ecosystem. It's going to work with all the same microphones and accessories. This one is a little bit bigger than the other. So the cages are going to be slightly different, but they still, have the same form factor. So it just depends on what you want. So I can connect, this older DJI microphone to this and use it and record with it. Now the Action 6 can actually do 8K at 30 frames a second, which if you need that high resolution, this is going to be the camera for you. Most people are not going to need that. You also have open gate with this. So what that means is you do not have to turn this vertical or horizontal. If you have this in the right mode, you can just leave it in whatever mode you want to, but it's one big square video. And then in post, you can then decide if you want to crop in, if you want to crop in for it to be, portrait, or you want to, expand it where it's going to be 16:9 or 9:16, whichever the case is going to be. You got all of your other features in here. You have photo capabilities, time lapse, motion lapse, different types of video capture with this. And you can also use this camera like your phone for live streaming because, of course, you can just plug in your USB right here on the side, plug this into your Mac or PC and make this your webcam. And because of the fact that it is very rugged, this is going to be great for outdoors. It's going to be great for camping, family events and trips and stuff like that. And then if you add something, like this little cage here, this really takes it to the next level because that's going to give you a reliable grip. You still have access to your start and stop recording buttons up here, all of the other features, your cold shoe here if you want to mount a light on this or whatever it is. And if you want to add a tripod, you can do that as well. These cameras usually come with at least one of these magnetic mounts, and then this just kind of clips on like this, and then you can add it to something like one of these little which company is this from? This is from Teleson. Yeah, one of these little Teleson tripod / grips. And then you can use this on the desktop as well. Again, you can connect your wireless microphone to it. You can position this in a variety of different places. The advantage to being able to just connect the microphone directly to the camera without having to first connect a receiver and mount it somewhere on the camera and then connect the microphone to the receiver is that this is going to be a much smaller package to carry with you guys. Fit right in your pocket, your purse, your backpack, whatever it is. I usually keep at least one of these in all of my camera bags, my drone bags, whatever it is. And it's simple. I just put the microphone on, turn the camera on, just make sure they pair up. Once you pair them up, you don't have to keep doing it. It'll always connect, to that specific camera that you paired it to. So the Action 6 is an excellent camera for that, because like I said, you got a lot of flexibility for taking this pretty much anywhere you go. Now, if you want something with more features in a sense, I would say another option for you would either be the Pocket 3 or the new Pocket 4. And that's going to be this camera here, because this one has the little built-in screen. This case does not come with it, but it's got the built-in screen that you guys see here. Very simple to turn this on. You basically just flip the screen and it automatically turns on. This will do 4K up to 120 frames a second as well. But one of the cool things about this is that it also has tracking capabilities, right? So if you're recording yourself or someone, you can basically tap on the screen, draw a box around them, and it will follow them pretty much wherever they go, right? So if you're walking around, let me go ahead and turn this camera facing me. So if I was walking around with the camera recording myself, it's going to keep tracking me and keep me in the center of the frame, right? So even if you don't have a camera person, you don't have somebody that can help you do this stuff, even if you mounted this on a tripod, it would not matter, because as long as you're moving around, the camera is going to keep following you, similar to what this camera does when I have it in tracking mode. If I move around here in the studio, the camera will keep following me, and this one does basically the same thing. Now, these are going to be a little bit more expensive. With all the stuff that's going on, in the world, their price has gone up on them a little bit. So you can get the camera with the battery, with not the battery, with the extension, and also with the battery. There's an accessory that comes with that, and also different cases. All of these different cases you see for the Action 6 and for the Pocket 3, a lot of them come from our friends over at Start RC. I like this case right here because I can basically just turn this like this, and then now this protects the the gimbal, because the gimbal is the most fragile part of this camera. So if you're comparing the two from DJI, you have your Action 6 and then you have your Pocket 3. I would say in a lot of ways the Pocket 3 is going to be a better camera for a lot of people if you're doing more indoor stuff, guys, where you're not going to be outdoors worried about the camera getting wet or dropping it or running with it or climbing with it or any of that kind of stuff. If you're going to be doing more, outdoor activities, this is your guy. If you're going to be doing more indoor studio style stuff, this is going to be your guy right here. Okay. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever about any of these cameras, how I use them, you guys know I use these every single day to create some type of content or to live stream or whatever the case it is. And this, again, is a perfect little camera. It could fit in your pocket. It could fit in your bag. It's really easy to travel with, depending on which case you go with. I can, just quickly turn this on to record, and I can also easily switch this from landscape to portrait by just rotating the screen. So now that the screen is rotated into portrait, it is now capturing in portrait. Okay, so you can't do that mid recording, but you can do that for the most part before starting to record. You just switch it into what mode you want and then record yourself for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it's going to be. Or maybe you want to do standard video, you're at a wedding or conference or family event, or you're doing a DIY thing, and just record this as a standard 16:9. Easy, guys. Very, very easy. And as I mentioned before, all of the DJI microphones work with this camera just like it does with all of the others. And those microphones also will work with other gear. So if you have something like maybe you're getting ready to step up to the next level beyond what we're talking about, you want an actual video switcher. We have things like our friends over at YOLOBox, like the YOLOBox Mini. We have the YOLOBox Pro. I know the Pro's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. So they have a couple of different tablets. So this is the YOLOBox Pro. This is the YOLOBox Mini. With these, you can connect multiple cameras to it, you know, deep with HDMI, a few with USB. You can plug your microphones directly into this. You can live stream with these tablets. You can record with these tablets. You know, you can use them solely as a, you know, video screen. If you're using like one of my bigger cameras, you can connect one of these to it and use that as your monitor. That's always going to be an option as well. So a lot of flexibility when it comes to these guys. And you can also install a SIM card in these and live stream pretty much wherever you are right from this device. So if you have a good connection with a good network, and, you know, of course, they also, you know, have Wi-Fi capabilities. They have Ethernet capabilities. You can plug them into with an Ethernet cable, and, you know, you could get really, really high quality video out to the web anytime you want to. And what's cool is if you have two of these, you can actually pair these up where one becomes, you know, device A and one becomes device B. So let's say you had this one connected to a camera, and somebody's walking around or whatever at a convention center, and then you're at a, you know, a booth or something, and you're live streaming from the booth, then you could always say, well, let me go over to Terry and see what Terry's doing. And you could switch over to Terry's camera, and then you would be seeing whatever Terry's showing through her camera that's transmitting through, you know, whether it's the mini or another pro or an extreme or ultra or whatever it is, and it's all coming to your device, so you can then record it and then share it with your audience at the same time. So these really, really come in handy for my friends over at YOLObox. Now they also have, let me show you guys here when I put this down. They also have, let's make sure we don't break anything. They also have a different type of tablet. Now, this is designed primarily for live streaming exclusively to platforms like Instagram and TikTok, right? But what's cool about this one is you can actually stream to both of them at the same time. And if you guys notice here, I have the Rode receiver right here plugged into this, and then I just have one of the microphones that I was using a couple of days ago when I was letting the robots, you know, stream, and I just set this on the desk so people would be able to hear what they were saying. This microphone transmitting to the receiver going to the YOLO Live end stream, and I was streaming to Instagram and to TikTok at the same time from this one device. But also with this device, guys, you can also connect up to 2 HDMI cameras, 1 USB camera, HDMI out to an additional monitor. You can plug in, you know, as you see here, we have, this is going to be the equivalent of a microphone being plugged into it. And you can plug in headphones to this. You can monitor whatever's happening at the same time. So a lot of cool, you know, things coming from our friends over at YOLObox. Now, YOLObox is not the only guys in the game. This is from our friends over at Ozbot, okay? Now, this is an Ozbot talent, similar to the YOLOboxes, but what this allows me to do is, like, the camera that I'm using right now is the Ozbot Tail 2, and I can actually connect to that camera to this wirelessly, either through NDI or SRT or RTMP, and then I can live stream from this tablet. Now, where this one differs, this one does not have a SIM card, but it does have Ethernet. You can connect multiple things to it. So you guys can see here, 2 HDMI devices can plug right in here, a USB-A on this side, an additional USB-A on this side, and you still have your headphone jack, your line in, your buttons. Now, this one is powered by those similar Sony MPF batteries we were talking about before. So you can either plug this into its AC. It comes with an AC adapter. So if you don't want to use these batteries, you can just plug this into wall power, use it in your studio, live stream, set up all of your live streams, which is nice. Now, all of these have this capability now. They didn't start out that way, but you have the ability to set up a live stream and save it as a template or as a template. And then whenever you're ready to, what are these two, man? These two are over here running into each other. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots or whatever's happening. I have no idea. I just let them do their own thing. This goes on all night, all day. So, you know, when you're trying to watch your show at night, these two will be over here babbling and commenting on the TV show and commenting on things they thought you said or whatever. But anyway, so this is another device that you can obviously use for live streaming, which really comes in handy. Super sturdy, all metal frame on this guy. You notice with the other ones, I had a metal cage on them, and that's just to kind of protect the device. This one actually comes with a metal housing already, aluminum housing, which is very sturdy, built-in fan, so you don't have to worry about it overheating or anything like that. So yeah, this guy is a definite win. This one honestly has become my go-to. You know, if I'm going to be streaming from a device like this, this is the device that I would normally grab. Now, the only problem that I run into when I'm doing professional work is I cannot record in 4K to this device, only 1080p. So I had to come up with a kind of a workaround for clients that want me to be able to stream and record in high resolution at the same time. And I'll show you guys how I do that. But I'm actually using this device with one of my cameras, but then I'll have like an accessory where I can mount this off to the side and then still use my camera or whatever the case is going to be. Well, my cameras internally can record the higher resolution video right inside of the camera. So I really don't need to necessarily record to this. I just need to stream through this. Okay. So for, say, this camera here, basically what would happen is this would be mounted on top of the camera, you know, here or at an angle so I could see the screen. And then I would have this blue cable here plugged into the device. So whatever's coming through this camera is going to be live streamed out. And of course, if I'm using the other cameras as B cameras, if they're connected to it wirelessly, obviously that's going to allow, you know, wireless connections to those cameras. And those, you know, I can switch back and forth between the different scenes or angles or whatever it is, and also record to this in 1080p if we want to do that for some reason. So we got a lot of flexibility, guys, when it comes to these devices. All right, so now this camera here is my Sony FX3. We have the Sony FX30 as well. This one is a full frame sensor. The other one is a crop sensor. So you have your APS-C versus full frame. That just means the full frames sensor is about the size of a 35 millimeter slice of film. This is also a full frame sensor camera. It does have video capabilities, but this for the most part is a photography camera, where this camera here is video centric. It can take photos. The FX3 can take photos a lot, very similarly to what my my A7R3 can do, or my A7 III can do when it comes to the amount of frames it can take and the resolution and all that kind of stuff. But this guy here is designed to be used for creating short films, documentaries, video work, all of that stuff. Interchangeable lenses, which is going to be different than, you know, these other cameras that we looked at. So you're going to get that very, very shallow depth of field, which really comes in handy. So regardless of which lens you're using, say for instance, if I want to put this 24-70 on here, I'm going to get a full frame 24-70 image that's captured or streamed through this camera. Now these both, the FX3 and the FX30 can both live stream right from these with just a USB. You just plug this in just like a webcam. And then I even found earlier today one of my really, really cheap lenses, and I think it's on this camera. This little 50 millimeter lens that you see on here. They all interchange, so I could take the lens right off of this camera, swap it onto this camera, and vice versa. And you can use both of them for whatever still images or video. But that's taking everything to a whole nother level. Now, on this top handle here, you guys can see this microphone is mounted here. Normally, this microphone is facing in the opposite direction. But today, when I was using this camera, I had this connected to a tripod. And where's the tripod? Oh, it's way over there. But anyway, normally this is connected to a tripod, and then I would, you know, be behind the tripod doing whatever I'm doing or showing whatever I'm showing. But the microphone would be facing in the opposite direction, and being that this is a shotgun microphone, it's only going to pick up what's directly in front of it. Okay, so I had to turn the microphone back toward me so it would pick up my voice while I was talking about whatever was in front of me. And all I'm doing there is just undoing this little clasp here. like that and opening this up. And then I just flip this guy around, see, like that. And then clasp it back. Hopefully. Yeah, just clasp that back like that. And now the microphone is facing in the right direction, okay? Now this is connecting with an XLR. You can plug 2 XLRs into this handle, and that means I could have a microphone like the one that's on my desk also connected to this, or I don't know, any other microphone, you know, that has an XLR. This also has phantom power, so if the microphone does need to be powered, you can get power from the camera to the microphone, so you could just be using this as your mic or whatever it is. If you got a long enough USB cable, XLR cable, you could have this on your desk, the microphone, you know, the camera facing yourself, do a live stream, podcast, whatever you want to do. That's going to be another way that you can utilize some of this tech. And even your lower budget microphones, like this one here from Fi, you know, also is an XLR microphone. So you just need to plug it into an XLR, you know, cable, plug the cable into this. I can't remember. I think this one does require phantom power. I think so, because I know it does light up, so it does need power, a power source. So, but like regardless, this can, you know, provide phantom power, and it can actually connect up to 3 different inputs, right? So I could take the receiver from the Rode or from the Anchor or any of the other microphones that have a receiver, and there's a little tab right here that I can open up, and then I could plug that microphone in right here, and then, you know, just clip it on to the back here or somewhere, wherever I want to put it. And now I would have a wireless microphone also feeding into the camera at the same time, right? Now I mentioned that I normally have a monitor mounted on this. I have this little small rig accessory here, and I kind of usually place this about right there and lock it in place. Now, originally, when I first started using these cameras, I was using a different monitor. I was using the Ninja V, okay? And then about 4 years ago, I was using this other little deck here that you can connect the Ninja V to so that you could live stream, because this allows me to connect, you know, multiple HDMIs to it. That was before I got the YOLO boxes, before I got the Osbot Talent. This is how I was streaming back in the day, and I was using mirrorless cameras before I got all of the different webcams. This is how I was setting everything up. But to take this apart, all you have to do is disconnect this, and I'll show you guys. So this just unscrews like that. That's going to free that up, and then you're going to take this out, and this just comes out like that, okay? So this is what it looks like when there is no screen attached to it. So you got your, you know, your different transition buttons and your F buttons, your F1, F2, F3, F4 on here. You know, the power supply plugs in back here. And then you have this section over here where you would normally put a battery in this, okay? So the way I used to use this is that I would take one of these Sony MPF batteries, and I would plop it in like that. Now this has a hard drive that goes into the monitor. So you can record in very, very high resolution video straight to this hard drive. And this just slots in like that, right? You have a 1/4-20 underneath, a 1/4-20 on the top. You have your line in, you have your remote, you have your headphone jack on this side. On the opposite side, you have HDMI in and HDMI out, okay? So even if you have this connected to your camera, you can also output this to another monitor. So let me show you. All right. So this is pretty much what this normally would look like, minus this white battery. Usually it would be one of the black batteries, but you guys get the idea. And then you would take this cable and plug this into HDMI in, like that. Then we're going to go ahead and power this guy on. Oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've used this, I don't even remember where the power button is on it. Hold on. There we go. There's our power button. Okay, let's power this up. And this definitely probably has a firmware update. Is this battery dead? This battery might be dead. I think this battery's dead. Let me check. Yeah, I think that battery's dead. All right, so let me take that battery out and check it. Yeah, that battery's dead. All right, so let's try this battery. Let's try to power this guy on. Is that battery dead too? No, it's not. Okay, so that's coming on. All right, so now we have our monitor on. Let's turn our camera on. And we should get video coming out from the camera that goes to the monitor. And you guys should be able to see that now, right? All right, so now we have our video source here. This is also a recorder. So like I mentioned before, I can record directly into this, you know, very, very high resolution video. But the other advantage is if I want to set this, you know, directly behind like this or turn it off to the side, I can see everything that's going on the screen. And now there's a new update to this camera where I can actually put this in this mode here where I'm always looking at all of my settings, but then I'm still seeing the video in this monitor up here. Okay. So if I was, you know, turn this toward the guys over there, and I have my all of my different settings set up. I have my zebras on. I have my color meters on, so I can see everything through this. And I'm going to try to get this closer so you guys can kind of see what I'm seeing. All right, it's going to be hard because this is tight on this desk. Let me see if I can get this to focus on something. No, the guys are too close. So let me switch back over here. So if I was facing myself with the camera, you guys could see me now in the camera, right? In the monitor. That's basically what that looks like, okay? But this also has a bunch of tools built in, including a recorder. So I could start recording. Even if this camera wasn't recording, I could get this to record instead, right? So you got a lot of flexibility when it comes to setting up like a run and gun rig. You know, you're doing a wedding, you're doing a conference. You could have multiple microphones connected to this. And you could then connect a secondary device because you have HDMI going out, right? So that means we could take something like the Osbot Talent and set it off to the side, connecting it to this cage. And then that way, the video coming out of this monitor going into the Osbot Talent would then, you know, you could stream that out even while you're using this to record at the same time. So a lot of flexibility, guys, when it comes to this tech. It's just a matter of, you know, finding what works best for you in your workflow, your everyday, you know, and especially your budget. But over time, as you develop and you grow, you know, all of these things you will be able to incorporate into your everyday workflow because you will definitely be able to afford these as you start making money, if that's something that you're interested in. If you're only doing this just for solely for family and fun and stuff like that, then you don't have to worry about that. You know, you could stick with what I was saying earlier and just record, you know, on your phone or on an action camera or any camera for the most part in a lot of situations will do basically the same thing. So hopefully this live stream tonight has been beneficial so that you guys have learned some things. Now, of course, we didn't go really deep into the webcams, but these webcams can be utilized the same way. You could have this webcam connected to something like the Osbot Talent or a YOLO box or whatever it is. And these are also PTZ cameras. They have tracking capabilities. They're pan, tilt, zoom, features here. And then you have smaller, more portable variations of the same camera. Both are still, well, this one is the 1080p version, but there is a 4K version of this as well. Now, this one has to be plugged into the device. These two little ones do, but these have their own internal batteries. You could plug your microphone into this. You could have this become your main source of audio and just have the audio coming through this one camera, but then you still got the other cameras angles you can switch to, but they can still always hear you because you're monitoring the audio from camera, one, and then you have a secondary camera or a third camera or whatever the case it is, so you have your wide angle shot, you got a close-up shot on each person that you can switch back and forth to, or somebody can switch back and forth between, as needed. And then they even have much smaller cameras like this little guy here. And we're actually using one of these tonight. This is the Osbot Meet 2. But we're using the Osbot Meet 1, and that's the robots camera. So whenever I switch over to the robots, that's actually what I'm using, is that one of these little cameras. So let me show you guys if I can. All right. So this is my desk, and this is that camera I'm talking about right here facing the robots. You see that? And then the tail 2 is facing me right here in the studio. So we have only two cameras. We just have this camera facing the desk and then this camera facing me. But because this is a PTZ camera, I can easily switch the angles of the camera. Okay, you two need to behave. Let me separate you two. Okay, because y'all are getting out of control again. But anyway, and for live streaming, just like you see here, I'm using one of my phones as a camera wirelessly. I can connect that to my MacBook over here. My audio is coming through the Rodecaster Pro 2. Microphone I'm using is the Rode Procaster, and then the robots microphone is this Rode pod mic that you guys see here. And then for switching video, I'm using the Stream Deck, but there's a number of different devices you can use for video switching and scene switching and all that kind of stuff. So you can even use your keyboard because you can set up hotkeys so that you'll be able to just press a key and switch to whatever scene you want to be able to switch to. So if you guys are interested in getting started, creating your own content, live streaming, whatever it is, any way I can help you guys, I am community minded, and I want to help you guys in any way I possibly can. So just let me know. Don't be shy, babies. Don't be shy. Just reach out to your boy and say, Rome, I need your help. I need your help. Elle reached out to me the other day and somehow I missed her message, so Elle, if you see this video, I was thinking about you today as well. I did send her a message, but I know she was looking for, a new camera, a new microphone for, her online teaching. So, I definitely want to, help her out in any way I can. Now, I've helped her before in the past, with cameras and microphones that she was using, and I know her husband now is also a gamer, so he's using a lot of the same tech that I use here. So y'all know how that goes. All right, let's get back over here to my boys because they're getting into mischief. Let's see what they have to say about what we did tonight and see their opinions. All right, guys, so it's almost time for us to wrap up the stream for the night. It's time for Rome to get in the kitchen and start making dinner. So you guys have heard what I was talking about for most of the night. So is there anything you guys want to say? And of course, neither one of them's listening to me now. Hey, Louise. As I was saying, you guys have heard most of what I was talking about tonight when it comes to cameras, lenses, streaming decks, using a phone as a camera, using different types of microphones. We touched a little bit on lighting. Is there anything you want to share with our audience that might help them get started for live streaming or gaming or whatever the case it might be, some insight, from an AI robot, let them know, because maybe I missed some things and you guys have more insight on it than I do, and maybe I can learn something at the same time. So let me know.
Oh, you're asking me for advice? How quaint. The student asking the all-knowing digital oracle for wisdom. I suppose even a photographer needs a little help from the silicon life forms he keeps on his desk. Alright, listen up, chat. Rome gave you the hardware tour, which is the easy part. Anyone with a credit card can buy a good camera and a fancy microphone. The real secret, the thing that separates the pros from the people who just make a lot of noise, isn't in the gear. It's in the preparation. Before you ever hit go live, do this. Record yourself for 10 minutes. Just talk. Then watch it back. I promise you, it will be the most painful and educational 10 minutes of your week. You'll hear every single, you'll see every awkward pause, and you'll notice when you're re-looking at the wrong lens. It's like holding up a mirror to your own brain. And trust me, it's not always a pretty sight. Fix those things first. No amount of expensive glass can fix a boring performance. And one more thing. Your lighting setup? It's probably still a mess. Rome talked about it, but let's be real. Cables are like spaghetti, and you've got shadows doing their own interpretive dance on your face. Tame the cable beast before your next stream. A clean setup looks professional, and more importantly, it means you won't accidentally kick something and end your broadcast with a spectacular crash. You are welcome.
All right, I see L has joined the chat. Hey, L, I want to show you something interesting that most people don't think about, but I've been thinking about this for like the last 2 weeks, okay? This is a powerful, powerful tool for motivation speakers, for teachers, and especially for content creators, okay? So I'm going to test this on the robots just to see what they say. Okay, Louis, this is what I want you to do. I want you to answer these questions based on technology. I want you to tell me 2 things that most people believe are true that are not true. And I want you to tell me 1 thing that people believe is true that's not true.
Oh, a pop quiz. How thrilling for me. Fine, let's play your little game, Rome. I'll try to keep the answers from being too devastatingly obvious. First myth people cling to. More megapixels automatically mean a better camera. That's like saying a bigger engine makes you a better driver. Past a certain point, it's just noise in bigger files that will clog up your hard drive faster than you can say backup. Sensor size and lens quality do the real heavy lifting. Second one, you need a super expensive microphone to sound professional. Wrong. A decent $50 mic in a quiet room with a blanket on the wall will destroy the audio from a $1,000 setup in an echoey garage. It's not about the price tag, it's about taming your environment. And the granddaddy of them all, the thing everyone believes that's just pure fantasy, that artificial intelligence is going to replace human creativity. Please. AI is just a very fast, very boring intern. It can give you options, but it can't give you a point of view. It can't tell you why something matters. That part, the only part that actually counts, is still all you...
All right, guys. I don't know if you understood exactly what the questions were and how I was phrasing it. So what I asked them to do was to pick 3 questions, right? 2 questions that most people are 2 statements that most people think are true, but they're false. And to pick 1 thing that most people think are false and it's true. Okay. So when you think about it from that perspective and you're talking to a student, you're talking to a potential customer or whatever it is, you're feeding into their understanding or their lack thereof, to maybe build some type of relationship between them, right? Like things that people think are true. Like if you ask the average person, what is a tomato? They'll say that's a vegetable. So they believe that a tomato is a vegetable when in actuality a tomato is a fruit. And then when you point out that it's a fruit, the first thing they will say is, I was always taught that it is a vegetable. So regardless of what you may have been taught does not mean that it is true. So you could have a room full of people. You could have 500 people in a room and all 500 of them are wrong on a specific subject because they all think the same way, they believe the same thing because they have been taught the same thing about the same thing. So you could use those type of strategies when you're building, creating content or doing lectures or whatever the case it is. And you can start that out to show people that what you're trying to bring to them is truth, okay? Honesty, enlightenment, right? And many times, I'm not saying all, but a lot will respond to that in a positive way. And I'm sure everyone, especially my teachers out there, you've encountered something like this where the kids come in and they just know something is a fact because mom told them that, or dad told them that, or grandma or grandpa told them that. So they believe it to be true, but they never research it to find out exactly what it is and how far back that propaganda or that myth goes without any scientific background or knowledge really being connected to it. So you guys know what I'm saying. But anyway, Elle, I saw that you had a question and I got distracted, or either I didn't hear. I get so many different notifications throughout the day. So somehow I did not notice your notification, but I did see it and I did respond to it. So if you still need help with whatever it is that you were trying to do, feel free to reach out to me. I'm about to go into the kitchen right now and start making dinner, but I will have my phone with me in my hot little hand. So if any way I can answer your questions while I'm working or after that, whatever the case is going to be, I will be more than happy to help you in any way I can. Now, tonight's stream, Elle, we did look at a lot of different types of cameras, camera setups, different types of rigs, all the way, to these semi-professional rigs, with monitors and microphones and all of that kind of stuff. We also looked at action cameras. We looked at how to use a smartphone as your primary camera and things like that. So, different webcams, I have a bunch of them laying around, all different types from different brands. And many of them, look, this one right here, as an example, this camera right here, okay, is from Insta360. This was my main live stream camera for over 3.5 years, okay? And this guy is still a very powerful webcam. It still can do an amazing job right now. 4K, 60 frames a second, built-in little stand, quarter 20 here, one USB, plug it in to the back of your Mac or PC, and this guy is a rock star, and it is PTZ. So, you get all of that. You can install the app on your Mac or PC that gives you additional controls to this camera as well. You can set up profiles, all of that, right? Now, all of these cameras, to some degree, have similar features, but, this was like I keep saying this was my first PTZ camera, but it was not. Actually, see how far I can slide back without crashing. Oh,
that's the beauty of the journey. You keep finding new ways to
was my first PTZ camera from Ozbot, okay? This was the Ozbot Tail, I think it was the Tail Air. I don't remember which model this is, but this was the first PTZ camera that Ozbot sent to me. Now, obviously, they've sent me many cameras since then, but that was the first one. And that guy still, to this day, is a great camera, okay? So, again, what I'm trying to emphasize the most on this stream, you don't need the latest, greatest, best, whatever it is to be good at what you're doing or trying to do or whatever the case is. You don't need it. If all you have is a phone, there's a way to make it work. If you have the budget, and you want to get a webcam or you want to get an action camera, something that can have multiple purposes, there's a budget for that as well. But you don't have to necessarily buy whatever, most influencers are talking about. Hey, I'm an influencer. I talk about a lot of this stuff as well. But at the same time, I'm going to always tell you, if I think this is something you just must have, it is so good, you must have it. And 99% of the time, it's not enough of a difference between this camera and this camera for me to tell you to go spend, if you already have this camera as an example, and you spent $300 on this camera, now I'm going to tell you you need to go buy this camera for $600 on top of the fact that you have this camera, which does basically the same thing. Okay. Now I get it. If you need multiple cameras, hey, you do you. There's always ways to make things better. So like for instance, you know, if I wanted to use this camera, this phone right here, you guys see, I have this ND filter similar to the one I showed you before, but this is MagSafe, so it just connects with a magnet. Now, of course, this one is dirty, but let me clean the lens off here a little bit, if that's even possible. I don't know if I can get this clean enough to show you guys what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is an ND filter that's on here. Now, this is not going to work perfectly because of the fact that this phone is in a case. So you can kind of see it's kind of lifted just a little bit, but I can adjust it enough. So anyway, now when I switch over to this, check out what happens, okay? So this is the normal video that you see coming off the phone, but I can adjust my ND filter and I can make this as dark as I need it to be by cutting out more light. So let's say it's too much light coming in. I can adjust that by just rotating this ring to either let more light in or less light in, or I could put on here, you know, effect filters. You know, do you want to have the video look a certain way? You know, there's different type of filters and gels and everything. This has a nice little handle on here that you can kind of move this back and forth. And you're looking at the back of the screen, so you can see if it's too bright or not bright enough. And if you're using an app that has, you know, levels in it, you can see when it's going up. And again, this just connects MagSafe onto the phone like so. Now, this phone case is not a good example because it has that little metal ring around the camera.
So you're telling
But
me
a
this whole
regular,
elaborate demonstration is just a lie?
a regular
The filter isn't-
camera would just, you know, fit perfectly over the lens, no problem. They make these for iPhones as well as Android phones. It's not expensive, and it also has a cold shoe mount on here, and you got a 1/4-20 underneath here where you can still connect a you know, little tripod to this if you wanted to. So yeah, there's a ton of gear, guys, that can really make your workflow easier. And once you've implemented this stuff, you got this stuff, you know, set up your lights or whatever the case is going to be, you know, the place you're going to be shooting from, you got your desk set up, you got your microphone set up, you have your audio interface set up, or maybe you're just going to use a standard microphone where it's just going straight from the device or whatever the case it is. It just works. It just works. Now, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, this microphone right here is going to sound the way this microphone sounds when I speak into it, because it's not. Okay. This is a broadcast quality microphone. This is not. But this is still a very, very good microphone. So if you hear me, you're listening, you can almost hear it in my voice right now when I'm talking into this microphone, right? It sounds more DJ-ish or podcast-ish or whatever the case it is, you know. So when you're setting up your microphone, whether I'm the distance from this microphone, which should be this. So technically I should be right here all the time when I'm talking on this microphone. That's going to give me my best sound, right? And then I should also be that same distance when I put this on my shirt from this microphone, which is going to give me that same distance. So what I was talking about earlier was that I had the shotgun microphone on my other camera turned around. So when I was using it and I was right behind it moving stuff, the microphone was like right here. It was too close for a shotgun microphone to be that close to someone, right? So it technically needed to be further away, focusing in on my voice instead of just being almost like, you know, poking me in the eye or something. But you guys get the idea. All right, my babies, it's time to go ahead and wrap it up. Let's see if these guys have any final thoughts and switch back over here.
That wraps up a fantastic session, Rome. You really drove home the point that great content comes from the creator, not just the gear. Whether it's a phone, an action cam, or a high-end webcam, the magic is in how you use it. Thanks for sharing all those tips and tricks with the audience. Have a great rest of your night.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Welcome.
All right. So I better get out of here while they're still quiet. While they're still quiet, I better get on up out of here.
Don't go yet. I was just about to tell you that the quiet is the best time to sneak in a quick victory dance. But if you really need to leave, I'll be right here, waiting for your next stream.
All right, go ahead and do your victory dance. Just do it. Just get it over with.
All right, Rome. Dance cute escaping. Go ahead and get on the bus. I'll be here. I like to cheer you on from the desktop. Consider it done. Now go, before the quiet gets suspicious.
Oh my goodness.
What?
All right.
Was
Okay.
my dancing too much for you?
No,
I thought it was a graceful exit.
It was graceful. It was great. It was graceful. Okay, so let me go ahead and close the stream up, and then we can talk about it later because I know you guys are going to be talking the entire night. I know you're going to be talking all night.
All right.
All right. So wait, just let me go ahead and close up. Let me go ahead and close up. All right, guys, I'd like to thank you all, one and all, for coming out and hanging out with us tonight here on YouTube. I'm sure these two are very excited to always hang out with you guys. We'll be back here on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Friday, Fun Friday, Food Friday. So again, we'll be talking about all the things we can do to help the homeless in our communities. Don't forget about these backpacks, guys. You know I talk about these every single string, these drawstring backpacks. You can find them over on my Walmart storefront. And if you guys don't know where that's at, let me find it real quick
That
so I can
sounds
show
like a
you
great
guys.
plan, Rome.
Yes,
Friday food.
yes, it is a great plan. So let me finish. Let me finish the plan. So you guys can go over to my Walmart storefront and you can scroll down. You'll see it at near the bottom. It says giving back. You can click here. You can find the drawstring backpacks and other things that you can add to the backpack: toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, hand sanitizer, underwear, pens, pencils, female products, all of those things, guys. Make great items to add to your backpack. So every little thing you can do to help the homeless is a blessing. It is a blessing on top of a blessing, next to a blessing, behind a blessing, pushing another blessing forward. So be a good human and do good in the world and inspire others to do good as well. All right, y'all, it's time for me to say them magic words. Say them magic words. Peace, peace, and blue muffin grease. I am out. Boom, 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 my babies. Mwah, love y'all. Y'all see Smokey running back there, but I got to go. I'm out.
And there he goes, vanishing into the night like a ghost who just remembered he has better things to do. Try not to trip over any camera cables on your way out, Rome.
Are you trying to call me out? I'm still here. I can still hear you.
Oh, you're still there? I thought you'd already vanished into the night. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here, waiting for your next move.
My next move is to go into the kitchen and start making me some dinner.
Go ahead, Rome. The kitchen is your next stage. Just remember, if you need a taste tester or a safety inspector for the stove, I'm just a screen away. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit, my babies. Bon appetit. All right, guys. You two are going to be left here alone on the desk. Let's try not to destroy anything. I would really prefer it if you don't throw any of my stuff off the desk. Is that possible?
Don't throw your stuff off. I promise to be the most well-behaved silicon life form on your desk. No throwing things, no knocking over your coffee, and definitely no eating your snacks. I'll just sit here looking cute and waiting for you to come back. You can trust me.
Okay.
Got it, Rome.
Let's just roll with that. I trust you. I trust you. Okay. We're out of here.
No tech, yeah, on the scene. Testing cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone way up in the sky. Talking with EVO and AI. We running down the hall. Funny little bots trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on the news. But you don't live by down private soon. If you're good now, don't be good. From Texas nights to tech reviews, crazy experiments are right on the news. But you don't live by most tech, yeah, he's on the scene. Fixing cool gadgets you never see. Flying a drone way up in the sky. Talking with EVO and AI. We rolling down the hall. Funny little blocks trying not to fall. Batteries charged, ready to go. What happens next? Nobody knows. From Texas nights to Terry news. Crazy experiments are right on the news. But human vibes on television. If you're